What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports live stream for some Wednesday afternoon showdown action, a little bonus action. This game was supposed to be played Thanksgiving night, but because of some COVID tests, continue to get pushed back. And now we're here Wednesday afternoon. It's an odd time for a football game. Feels a little weird, but we're gonna dive in. Tony, what's going on, my friend? How are you feeling about some Wednesday afternoon football?
I'd be feeling better if it wasn't one of the uglier games we've seen where half the teams got COVID. We got one undefeated team versus another team with RG3, obviously, who hasn't played in a decade, it feels like.
Yeah.
It's a tough game. I mean, the other night we kind of got back on track a little bit, I think. I mean, we didn't hit the nuts, but, I mean, we talked about fading Lockett, which ended up being a very, very good fade. I know people make fun of us about our fades, so I'm gonna talk it up when we actually hit one here and there. The Lockett fade, the Hyde fade that some people were talking about.
That was weird. I think everyone kind of assumed Carson was going to step back into a big role, and he got massively outsnapped, and he got lucky to score that long touchdown. But I never would have imagined Hyde would have had a bigger workload than Carson.
It was strange for sure, and you just never know in these things. It's definitely a give or take situation. I couldn't have even imagined playing Hyde though, like at that price.
No, his price was crazy. Mind. I mean, the price was a little bit lower. I mean, maybe it can't come into consideration a little bit, but he was up there on both sites and. Just no way. I mean, and we talked about it. I mean, the Lockett and Metcalf thing, it's just very straightforward. I mean, one of them does very well. One of them sucks. And, we talked about it. I mean, I thought Lockett was a fine cash game play guy that, very accurate when he gets targets, very successful on converting targets into catches. Fine for cash games. Obviously, he busted, but I made it pretty clear. I had a lot of questions come my way like, you have Lockett in your core on cash games. You had Lockett in there, like, do you still like him? Like, I'm not playing him in tournaments. I mean, it was you talked about it, I thought it was very clear. Lockett in play in cash games. In tournaments, I'm gonna almost always side with Lockett the way that it's shaping up. And I don't remember the exact ownership. What was the ownership discrepancy between them?
It was similar. It always ends up similar. Like we always try to think it's always within like 10% of each other. So I don't really see a difference. And it's just a matter of who gets the big thing. I just don't think you should split them. Well, one of the things, too, I wanted to talk about with that dude winning the Millie is just being unique and how we always talk about it on these shows. But so my best team, I tweeted this out, too, not as a bad beat example at all. That was how some people took it. I was tweeting it out that this team, that the guy that won the million was unique, and my team was a 1v1 that was unique also. That faded Russ and Lockett, and it was DK, obviously. And he had DK in the captain, and I had Carson in the captain. We were both unique, though. And if you look at the team, like you have all good guys, just like we talked about on the show. Three good guys from Seattle, three good guys from who'd they play? Philly. Three good guys each way, but it faded. It played two tight ends from Philly, which is fine for Philly. They both get usage. I mean, they both have a chance to score. And then Seattle, you had Carson, DK, and the kicker maybe or somebody. I don't know who the third guy was. But you faded Russ and you faded Lockett. So by doing that, you were totally unique. But if you're telling me anytime on these slates, I can have six guys that are capable of scoring, and it's going to be unique, I'll take 150 of those teams every single time. Because that's the whole goal, to be unique.
Yeah, I mean, and certainly, and playing both tight ends. I mean, a lot of people might frown upon that, but the thing is, like, both those guys are on the field together at the same time, and I mean, obviously, the touchdown at the end was pretty lucky to get that.
That's what people start saying too, and it absolutely, it was friggin' lucky, but it could have easily happened at a different point of the game too.
Well, and the thing is, you see that happening at the end of these games constantly. I mean, the showdown stuff especially. I mean, the money is moving so much on these final drives. It's just a matter if the team that's down has the football, like things are going to shift in these showdowns. If the winning team has the football at the end and they can kneel and game's over, boom, you're done. Things aren't going to move. But if the team that's down has the football and they're not getting completely blown out, like things are going to shift a ton in the showdown contest. And that's what we saw on Monday night. All right, before we get into the Steelers and the Ravens game, two things. As we talked about on the wood, we recently inked a partnership deal with Monkey Knife Fight. If you head over there, open up an account, use the promo code RUNPEER. They're going to match $50 on your first deposit, and you can immediately start playing on the site with that money. In addition to the partnership there, we created a channel in our Discord chat that's dedicated to Monkey Knife Fight conversations, plays, picks that we like. They do shift quite a bit on the site. So a play that's up there, it'll go quick. So it's an opportunity for you to get in the Discord. People will be chatting about things they like, and give everyone an opportunity to hop on those plays before they come off the board. So once again, that promo code is RUNPEER. You use that at checkout. You get a $50 match on your initial deposit. And then the next thing, we're running another promo of our own up until NBA starts, which is December 22nd. The promo code on that is Buckets15. It gets you 15% off subscription for as long as you stay on the site. So it's not just we've done a lot of the one-time discounts. This is as long as you stay on the site. So if you sign up for the $80 package, I don't know, it's going to be slightly below 70, but you keep that price as long as you stay on and you don't cancel. Same with weekly, any package that we have on the site. And the one thing that we do at RunPeer, which I like a lot, is it's kind of an all-inclusive thing. Like, so if you're on our monthly, if you're on our weekly, you get absolutely everything on the site, including the showdown content, which is on a separate section of the site, but that is included in that one-time fee. Did I miss anything there, T?
No, you covered it all for sure. We got a lot going on and a lot to sign up for. We got especially with hoops coming. I mean, we got college rolling right now with our product. I've been playing. I'd never played college before March. I love March Madness. I've never liked college basketball before March Madness. But this year with no football during the week, really, no NBA for a month, I've dove in and I've liked it a little more than I thought I would. So
yeah,
I like our
product
up too.
Yeah, Steve Boynton we picked up, really knowledgeable with college basketball. He does a playbook every single day, every single slate with core plays. I know you're pitching in and helping as you learn that DFS sport. So it's been a success so far. I know the guys in the Discord chat are talking about it throughout the day because you got to stay up on the news with that stuff. I mean, things shift
big
so
time
quickly.
news too. Like it's like NBA almost. You got to be in there and paying attention.
And the only difference is it's harder to find. So if you have people on top of it, you get a big edge. And we have a whole team basically dedicated to tracking all the information for the college basketball slates. All right, well, let's get into the Steelers and the Ravens. And like I said, this game was supposed to be played on Thursday. Before we hop into this game, actually, could you hit that like button? I mean, 165 people watching, 30 likes. I mean, it's what's the word we use? Hurtful, right?
Very hurtful,
painful, disrespectful, saddening, depressing. I mean, whatever word you want to put in there. Hit the like button. We'll give out some gear. We'll see where we're at here in about 20 minutes and see what we need to get to give out some gear. So like and subscribe as well. I mean, we're almost at that 3,000 subscription number. If we can get there at some point, man, there's gonna be a little celebration. So make sure to subscribe and like. So that, like I said, this game's supposed to be played Thursday. Positive COVID test gets pushed back. More positive COVID test gets pushed back again. And we land here Wednesday afternoon with a lot of guys on the Ravens side out. Most importantly, Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, Ingram, and J.K. Dobbins, I believe. Those are the four main ones, right? Out for the Ravens, correct?
Yeah, I mean, those are the ones that
Willie Snead as well. Willie Snead as well. I mean, he's been a big part of the offense. He's out as well.
I mean, basically the way I'm proceeding is just looking at the names that have projections
must have popped back on or something popped back on. Could not.
Oh,
No problem.
I see it. I see my mug on the active YouTube.
All right, we're back at it, folks.
We're back.
Sorry, I had a little technical difficulties. The producer's electrician went ahead and unplugged his internet.
Yeah, stop blaming me, Chad. I keep hearing the chat. Big T has good internet. It was not my fault here.
I mean, I like blaming Big T for things as often as possible, but Big T pays for like Wi-Fi.
And this is 3-snap too, by the way. Like Tony 2-snap. Can you see that? That's 3 snaps, Chad.
We got the third.
3 snaps.
In terms of Wi-Fi, Tony pays for Wi-Fi that's like not available to the general public until like 2030. So he's like 10 years ahead of us in terms of Wi-Fi speed. So he does not have issues in that department. He has issues in other departments, but definitely not Wi-Fi, technology, anything of that sort. Before we cut out, we were talking about the Ravens guys, and Tony were saying basically anyone with a pulse that's on offense today, you're going to have some consideration for. So go ahead and talk to me about some of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what the slate comes down to is who we can play on this Ravens side, because honestly, it looks ugly. And I don't really know. Like, I don't want to pay for RG3. I know he's only 8,400, but I really can't see myself playing him. I just don't think he's going to do any good. He's going to be high owned just because he's a quarterback. Gus Edwards at 62. I mean, basically the slate's easy for me. It makes sense because I'll just play the cheap guys because we don't really know who's going to do something for Baltimore anyways, if anything. Even like Dez Bryant, I don't hate him just because he's cheap and he has to get some volume. Like, they don't have pieces. This could be a game where Dez gets a little work. I'm not saying he's going to like break an 80-yard touchdown because he is super dusty. But it could be a game where he catches 8 dump-offs, like 8 little 2-yard passes for 30 yards, like 8 for 30. Maybe he scores 8 for 30 and a touchdown and he gets you 17 points or something. I don't know. Like, these cheap guys are just way better for me. I mean, Marquise Brown has sucked even with Lamar. I don't see why I would play him not with Lamar, with the guy that's even worse.
I mean, I guess the argument that you'd make there is that Lamar has been so bad passing the ball that, I mean, I'm definitely not saying RG3 is going to be an upgrade, but I don't think it can necessarily hurt him all that much. I'm not endorsing
RG3 is like real bad.
I mean, of course, Lamar's really bad too, right?
He's real bad, but I don't know if he's as bad as RG3.
Well, there's been no connect. I mean, the problem with a guy like Marquise Brown is, on top of the quarterback situation, the matchup is brutal. Like, the Steelers' defense, especially pass defense, is tough. And I just can't see Marquise Brown breaking anything in this game. He's going to need to break something because it's not like
they don't have weapons either. Like, you have to think they're just going to like roll coverage over on him too, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to let him beat them deep. They have nobody. Like, they can single cover Daz, which is another reason I kind of like Daz too, because they can single cover him. He's so slow and old that they'll just play him in front and kind of just roll over on a guy like Marquise.
Yeah, a couple more pass catchers to bring in the conversation. Duvernay, Boykin. I mean, they're going to be out there, but I mean, same thing. They have RG3 throwing them the football. Duvernay is a guy I do have some interesting, actually quite a bit. Big play. I mean, you could see him getting the ball, at the line of scrimmage and just taking off. He's super fast, super quick, talented. He's honestly probably my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I love agreeing. When we like plays together is usually when we do good. Yeah. In a game like this where they don't have any of their normal dudes for the most part, I can see them. They've already been wanting to get him more involved. Jet sweeps and dump-offs to screen plays and just get him the ball. I mean, sure, it might not work. It probably won't work, to be honest, but all it takes with him is literally one play. They get it out in the flat. He somehow breaks one tackle and goes to the house, and you know what? He's optimal that quick. Because I can almost guarantee you Baltimore is not going to score 20 points. So if you get the touchdown or the 2 touchdowns they score, there's a real good chance they're going to be in the optimal. But I don't hate Boykin either. Like, I don't like him. But the good thing is he's 1,800. So he doesn't cost that much at all to where, like, I would play Boykin way before I'd play Marquise Brown. And I have a feeling that's contrarian because people will play Marquise today. Yeah. I'd rather play Boykin. Even for the same price, I'd probably rather play him because they're going to focus on Marquise. They're not going to focus on Boykin.
Correct. They priced these Ravens guys a little bit odd, like all of them. I don't know if they're like when they came out the pricing, I'm assuming they didn't know whether Ingram was going to play or Dobbins was going to play. But, we have Gus Edwards at 6.2K. Like him better on a site like FanDuel, touchdown dependent. But Justice Hill is 2.2K. I mean, he's going to get work today. I mean, there's no way he doesn't get work. He's definitely going to get work today. If choosing between these two, I'm just taking the cheaper guy in Hill at 2.2K.
I think we're on the same page with everything. And I'm not playing RG3. I'm playing Justice Hill over Gus. I'm playing Duvernay and Boykin over Marquise. So people that are watching are like, what are these guys talking about? They like all the bad dudes more than the good dudes. And it's kind of true in this game because I think they're going to focus on the good guys and shut them down. So I don't want to play these guys. I can guarantee you when we go in and do the playbook later, right after this show, we're going to get in and put up the final playbook over on the site. Yeah. I almost guarantee I fade all three of these guys, RG3, Gus, and Marquise, which sounds crazy. You're fading the three best dudes on a team, but I just don't think they're going to score. And I don't want to pay this salary, even at these prices. Well, one thing, too, just because the chat keeps talking about it. If you have the projections on the optimizer, like you pay us the whatever it is, 65 for the RG optimizer, we're having some issue with it just because it's a random weekday game on our end. So we're working on it. We'll let you know when it's fixed, but it's just it's something with it being a Wednesday game in between week 12 and 13 that it messed the system up a little bit. We'll let you know, though, when it's fixed. We definitely know it's an issue.
Yeah. We'll definitely try to get that sorted out as soon as possible. I mean, for me, like I said, like obviously I know Pittsburgh onslaughts are going to be very popular today. I get that. And to me, it's most likely the sort of build that's going to end up winning today. You're going to want to, the reason we like these cheap guys, not necessarily but the reason we're siding with these cheap guys over the guys that are a little more expensive, I mean, for me at least, it's because I want exposure to as many Steelers as possible. I'm assuming you're kind of on the same page with that as well. I think the Steelers, like you said in the opening, they're pissed off about the situation. A few guys have made comments about the Ravens not, controlling their situation, and now the Steelers have to pay the price. I think they come out and absolutely try to pound this team. My initial read on it was, they're just going to try to get by, maybe, pound the football and get the game over and get on to next week. Kind of reverse course on that. I think they come out and they're going to want to pound the absolute crap out of the Steelers. Do you agree? Or out of the Ravens? Yeah. Steelers are going to pound the Ravens.
I mean, it's a rivalry game too. These teams have never liked each other. They feel slighted, and on top of it, they're just a way better football team. It looks too easy to me. It looks like a landslide victory. As long as they come to play, they should pound them, and I think they come to play after all this. And it's like one of those games they know everyone's going to be watching. It's a Wednesday at 3:40 or whatever kickoff is. They know they're going to have the eyeballs on them, so they're going to want to crush, and I think they do. I mean, it's one guy to keep my eye on, too, just because it caught my eye. I mean, I think James Prochet is the dude from some small school that crushed, like, where's this dude from? I remember playing him in college. Talking. Where?
It doesn't say it on here. Oh,
he crushed in college, though. SMU. He was a stud there. He hasn't played much this year, but in a game like this, I put him in that same bucket of Boykin and Duvernay, where they might try to get some people involved, younger guys, try to see. So I think don't bump him like crazy in the optimizer, but get him up there to like 3 or 4 points to where if he does something, I want some exposure to him, put it that way. If I'm playing 20 teams, I want him on like 3 teams of my 20, 4 of my 20, because he's a sneaky play. I don't think he'll be high owned, and he fits with our build. If we go super heavy, he's only 800, not much risk to him. I like these cheap guys. What about Luke Wilson? Because they like throwing to tight ends a little bit. He's super cheap. All these cheap guys are in play, right? We just don't want
I think
more
so.
than like
I mean,
two
you
of
just
them.
don't want a ton of them on your teams. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, we think they get pounded, but that doesn't mean they can't have a few guys that do well for fantasy purposes. And I will say, just to circle back to the RG3 thing, you know, yes, he could definitely be a tournament fade, and that might be the way to go. This is one of those situations where it's a little bit different for cash games. The price is fair. I mean, he's definitely the favorite to score the most fantasy points for the Ravens. So I think in cash games, he's definitely a guy that you want to play in your lineups for that reason, just because there's going to be so many busts on the Ravens side, so many. You have to play one of them. Give me the guy that has the best chance of scoring the most fantasy points at a pretty good price tag. So that's the difference between cash games and tournaments a little bit. And it was the same situation last week. Not same, but we talked about it. Lockett on Monday night. Great cash game play. Good with the targets he gets. Very productive when he gets a decent bit of targets. We like the upside with DK Metcalf so much more, and that's what you're chasing in tournaments. The upside. You're looking for the safety in cash games. Robert Griffin, I don't think he comes out and has 25 fantasy points, but if a Ravens guy gets you 13 or 14 today, that might be good enough to win, because they're going to struggle to move the ball. And when we talk about struggling to move the ball, you and we're always proponents for kickers, and Justin Tucker is probably one of the best kickers in the league. I don't think I can go there today, because I just don't see them getting on the right side of the field to kick field goals today. You agree with that?
So the only reason in tournaments, I usually am on the same page, but so we've talked about this a ton on our showdown shows this year. Sometimes in these onslaughts, it's literally going to be whoever the highest scorer is for Baltimore. Like, because there's definitely a world where they don't even score. Like, they get 3 or 10 or 6 or 13, or they just have hardly any points. Like, if he goes out there and kicks a 50-yarder, say early on in the game, and then he kicks a 40-yarder later, and he 2 possessions, but that's 9 points. There's definitely a chance like 9 or 10 could be the nuts on a Baltimore team.
Yeah.
So that's why, just because it's Tucker, like if it was any other kicker that didn't have a long leg, I definitely wouldn't, because the problem too is if they get way down, they're going to stop.
He's got to get it in the first half.
You want it that first drive. Like the total nuts playing Tucker is that first drive, 50-yarder. Right out of the gate, you lock up your 5 points, and then you're almost free rolling. Because if he hits another 50, then you're in double digits. If he gets double digits for this Baltimore side, you got to think he's got a really good chance to be the leading scorer. And that's basically the key if you're onslaughting. You just need whoever the leading scorer is. And I think it could be Tucker, so I wouldn't pull him out today, but I like the thought of that. I mean, I usually do that.
Yeah, Luke will. I mean, they have a couple other tight ends. This Tomlinson dude, he's $200.
I want to get him in the.
I think he's definitely got it to put in the player pool. It's just, I mean, the cheap guy, but it's like, don't build teams with 3 of these dudes. I mean, there's no point. I mean, you definitely don't need to with salary. I mean, you definitely, onslaught. I mean, just to me, is the clear way to go. So let's head over to the Steelers side. And for me, like,
what's the deal with this Ricard? Is he what's his deal? He's a fullback usually. I know he's a blocker, but I heard they might like get him more involved.
They put him on the he's on the list. He's on the COVID.
Oh, he's not playing?
They
sure?
Placed him on the list on Friday.
Okay.
And he's still got the COVID-19 tag attached to him. So, yeah. So
I was wondering why I didn't see his name anywhere. So makes sense. I was just making sure we covered that. So it's just Tomlinson and Wilson is the tight ends. There's not a third
Tomlinson, Wilson. I think there's a third cheap dude, but I mean, you're going to want to play one of those 2 guys for sure.
Yeah. I put them all in while we were talking. You got all 8 of them here. I mean, I'm just going to go 1 to 2, maybe even just 1. I kind of like 2 more. We can talk about it as we go, but definitely not more than 2, like we said. Maybe 1 even, where we can cycle back and just do 1, depending on what we like for the Steelers side.
Yeah, and I mean, the reason I'm more so, leaning towards less is because I think you can definitely play the Steelers defense, and Boswell, I think, is a strong kicker play as well. So you can kind of, load up on the entire team. Before we talk about the Steelers, guys, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe. What are we at here? We're at we're getting close. If we let's get to 115 likes, we'll give away a piece of gear for everyone sticking with us through the technical difficulties. But like I said, like, subscribe. As soon as we're done here, I think you've been working on it as well. We're gonna polish off that playbook that'll be live on the website as soon as we're done here. So we'll get that posted for everyone that's part of our premium content. Every Showdown NFL slate, we have a specific playbook dedicated to it with core plays, rankings, projections, all incorporated in one spot. So make sure you check out that. On the Steelers side, the one guy they're without, pretty big name, but he's been disappointing lately, is James Conner. He was added to the COVID-19 list. That's a huge boost right out of the gate for a guy like Snell, Benny Snell Jr., who's actually looked better than Conner throughout the season. He'll get a big opportunity here in this game. And then backing him up at 2.6K is this McFarland Jr. guy, and he's looked good as well. And he already has a role even when Connor's healthy. So with Connor out, he gets a boost. The one wrinkle in this whole running back situation is they just called up, prior to us coming on the show, Wendell Smallwood. So it adds a third back. How much work do you think Smallwood gets in this matchup? And, what's your take on Snell Jr. and McFarland Jr.?
So it's kind of been the theme of us all year. We got on Carson. Actually, me getting on Carson the other day and that captain could have cost me a chunk of cheese. But we've been fading these running backs. And today is a perfect example. Like Benny Snell at 8,800. I couldn't even imagine playing him at that price. Yeah, we might get a pass interference on the one. He falls in the end zone 3 times again, like always. But that's just too expensive for me when they have McFarland. They have Smallwood now. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't get these guys all work. Say they get a big lead. Like they're not going to run Benny Snell into the ground. They just won't do it. I don't think there's any scenario that he just goes and just gets tons of work today. I don't see it. Like I project him, like right now in these projections, I don't even know which ones I have up, but 13, I wouldn't project him anywhere near 13. Like there's no way I'd give him he has to get a touchdown to get that. You're basically giving him a touchdown. He still might not get 13, even with a touchdown. So I couldn't even imagine. You can talk more from the cash side. Tournaments though, like you're telling me I can play McFarland for 2,600 or Snell for 88? Like how in the world can I play? How can I play Snell over our boy McFarland?
Yeah, I mean, that's to me a massive pricing discrepancy there, and I would definitely side with the cheaper dude. I mean, there's no ways. I mean, so this is kind of saying that it's 80% of the work's going to Snell, 20% of the work's going to go to McFarland. That's what these prices are kind of indicating, the way I look at it, and that's not the case. I mean, it's going to be probably a 60-40 situation, maybe
probably even less, because I think Smallwood's going to get some work, like something like 40-30-30 type thing. I think.
And we'll talk about Smallwood. He is actually eligible on FanDuel. He's the minimum 5K. He's not eligible here on DK for some reason. So at 2.6K, McFarland's one of my favorite plays on the entire slate. There's just no way he doesn't get enough work to pay off this price tag. I think he's going to be heavily involved. And I agree with you. Like I want my ownership on McFarland to vastly outweigh my ownership on Snell. And yeah, in cash games and even on FanDuel, we'll talk about it on FanDuel. This price on Snell is much more fair on FanDuel, and what we kind of project him to do here today, his role in this game suits FanDuel scoring a little bit better as well. So we'll talk about him a little bit more when we get over to FanDuel. But I agree with you. Like I'm McFarland, love McFarland here. Snell, it's just tough, man, because we've seen what the Steelers are trying to do with their offense, and we've been talking about it for weeks. I mean, we've been talking about it on every show I know that you and I have done. These short little dump off passes that are kind of replacing the running game. I mean, James Conner, 12, 13 carries. He's not carrying the ball. They're using these short passes. They have the perfect wide receivers for it. I mean, their trio of wide receivers are perfect, and they've turned into a pass heavy offense. And it kind of fits into the game script that we think here, where we think the Steelers are going to try to pound them in this matchup. So for me, I want a lot of exposure to the passing game here. Deontay Johnson, Claypool, And the one that I think is going to be the lowest owned, man, is Juju. And, you know, he disappointed last time out. He's kind of like my favorite, I think, for tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely I want all three of them. Like I love all three of them. That's the good thing. I always think showdowns, it's tough to play just one team in these tournaments because you need to at least play like three and cycle through the receivers a little bit. I like all three of them. I mean, if I had to rank them, it would for sure be Deontay, Claypool, Juju, but I agree with you. Juju is priced similar to the other two, so I think he's going to be the lowest owned, which gives me more interest. Ebron, I mean, it's so easy to just play Ben with these pass catchers because, like you said, they throw the short dump offs. It's like their running game even. They just get it out quick and run with it. I love it. I mean, so the interesting thing on the slate, I think, and a fade for me is Steelers D. 7,800 for a defense is outrageous to me. Like, that is totally outrageous to me. And I think they'll be popular on this slate because everyone knows Baltimore stinks. The only way I would play the Steelers D is if it was without the passing game from Pittsburgh. Like, go run heavy, go Snell, go McFarland, go the defense, stack it all up and just say this is going to be an ugly game. We're playing the ground game. We're fading Ben. We're fading some of the receivers. 78 as a cash player, 7,800 for a defense. Are you kidding me? How can that pay off?
I'm definitely prioritizing Big Ben and two of those pass catchers, right? That even for cash games, that's what I want to do. That's what I mean. I filled out, you know, part of the portion of the playbook, which is dedicated to cash games. I mean, without giving out too much. I mean, that's definitely part of my plan here. Like, I want to be on the passing game. I want to be on the pass catchers here over anything else in this game. I think they're also. I mean, man, Deontay Johnson when he hasn't left a game is just dominating. I mean, he's left like 3 games this year with injury. When he plays the entire game, he absolutely crushes. I mean, looks to be like one of the best. I mean, him and Big Ben have such a good connection. I love him obviously here. I'd rank him Deontay, then Juju, and then Claypool, but love all three of them for sure. And then, you know, we can throw Ebron into the mix. He's 6'6". I mean, he's in that range with the Steelers D. I'm assuming, you know, you really prefer a guy like Ebron over the Steelers D for what we're talking $1,200 less, right?
Like way more. I literally can't let myself click the button. They're just too expensive. You're going to need a touchdown. Like, sure, they might score a touchdown. I'm not saying they won't because RG3 definitely could give them a touchdown. But I don't want to bank on my defense, and they're going to be high owned. Everyone is going to want to play the Steelers D. I mean, they're going to be, I'm not saying super high, but I bet they're in the 30s or 40s percent wise.
Which is really high owned for.
That's outrageous for a defense that you literally need them to score. If they score a touchdown, you do have a chance that they'll be on the winner. But if they don't score a touchdown, they're not going to be on the winner. And it's definitely not even money that they're going to score a touchdown. I mean, it's hard for a D to score.
No. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the number is, but it's got to be pretty decent.
Between 2 or 3 to 1, I would guess.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough to bank on that. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's pretty clear what I want to do on the Steelers side. Not many cheap. I mean, McFarland, definitely want a ton of McFarland. I'm not messing around with like Washington or, you know, any of these cheap guys. For me, I'm focused on the key pieces of the Steelers offense, the guys that have been getting it done week in and week out. I'm not doing anything crazy. I mean, is there any cheap options on the Steelers that you haven't? I mean, the one guy I will mention is this Ray McLeod dude. He is 1.2K, and he's quick. I mean, a quick dude. He can make a big play. I have some interest in him, but for the most part, I'm focusing on the big name guys for the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, I agree completely, and I think it's just easier to take the cheap guys from Baltimore and the good guys from Pittsburgh. So, like, just running it. I mean, I gave Deontay a big bump because I want as much Deontay as I can get. He's definitely my favorite guy, but no crazy rules in here or anything. And like the number one team, even with Deontay projected over Big Ben still hits the optimal captain build, which is surprising.
Man, that's a nice looking squad.
Man, like, that is such a good team. I mean, you got 2 pass catchers, you got the kicker, and you got 2 dump off guys coming backwards. So but like this team will be so popular, like so popular, a team like this. One example of what I think you can do in today's showdown is literally, because there's so many cheap guys, come back in here. You got 150, those of you that haven't seen it, and just start leaving 1,000 on everyone, or like 900. 900. Let me get to 49.1. So you're leaving 900 on all. Now let's see let's go even higher on a game like this. Let's go to 1,500. Every team with 1,500. Let's go even down a little here, down to like that. Let's just see how the teams look by leaving it, because I'm guessing it's going to look very similar to the one we just looked like, but we're leaving salary, which gives us much better chance at being unique, like we talked about to start the show. I think being unique is more important than anything. Like, look at this team right here. It's the exact same team. Yeah.
But
we got McFarland over the kicker is the only difference. And we're leaving 1,900 in salary, which gives us way better chance. McFarland could even catch the ball out of the backfield from Ben. Next team, I mean, you got Ben. Like, this is a nice team. Just Duvernay. Like, so leave salary
right there. That's a really nice squad.
Yeah, like that is just, it gives you everything, and you're leaving 2,700.
Yeah, and by leave salary, it's not $200-$300. Like when we say when we talk about leaving salary on the table, I think some people think, all right, well, I'm not using the whole thing. I'm just leaving $200 or $300.
Yeah, I'm leaving 200 on the table.
That ain't gonna cut it. I mean, we're talking when we refer to leaving salary on the table, we're talking big chunks, 4-digit chunks.
I'll find a good one where we're leaving like this one, 44.3. So you're leaving literally what, 5,700 on the table. You still got Ben with 2 pass catchers. You got the kicker, the running back. So there's nothing wrong with this team.
You're going from probably like Claypool down to Ebron.
And he can catch 2 touchdowns. Like,
yeah.
And you're leaving 5,700. It literally, this team is not any worse than that top team. Sure, it's not going to win as much as the top team does, but when it does win, you're going to win a lot more than that top team wins. Like, that top team is going to chop for sure. You're chopping a bunch of ways. This team, you might chop, but you might not. You have a much better chance at being unique.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, I love the path. I mean, I really love the path that we're on for this game. And I mean, a lot of people are going to be on this path, so we're not doing anything crazy, but that's
where the salary comes in though, right? Like, everyone's going to go the same type thing. That's why leave the salary. Why not leave the salary?
And getting off a guy like Marquise Brown and going down to some of these other wide receivers. Like, that's how you get different, leaving big chunks on the table. That's how you get different. Things like that. I mean, and like I said, it's not $200 or $300. We're talking, thousands of dollars. That's how you get different. And to me, like, it's a perfect type of slate for that. And like I said, Big Ben, Deontay, Claypool, Juju, all going to be very popular. These aren't like, hot takes that we like these guys, but those little tweaks you make, getting off Marquise, going to a cheaper guy, leaving the $3,500 on the table. That's how you have a chance to solo ship. And that's what you want to be doing. I mean, you don't want to, these popular lineups are chopped so many damn ways. You want to make sure you're trying to get quite a bit different.
It's just so important to be unique. I know I keep talking about that tweet I sent the other night because people didn't understand what I was saying. They're making fun of it. Like, well, yeah, he won. He didn't play Russ with Lockett, or he didn't play Russ with DK. Yeah, on the surface, that's bad correlation. We've even talked about it on this show that you should have the quarterback with him. But if you guarantee that it's unique, like, you have a chance to win $1 million off $10 or whatever it was. Being unique with 6 guys that you can make a case for is way more important than being optimal to me in these things.
Yeah. Before we head on over to FanDuel, make sure you hit the like button. We got to the 115, so we're going to give a piece of gear away. If we get way up there in likes, we're at 267. If we more people trickle in, if we get up to 200 likes, we'll give away another. But let's go ahead. We're going to give the first piece of gear to Frederick Van Ripper. Let's see, Big T workbench season, first time NFL showdown on a Wednesday afternoon. So I like that comment. Solid comment. Obviously a fan of the show. So send either Big T your information on Twitter or info@RunPureSports, and we'll get you a piece of gear. All right, let's talk a little FanDuel. It's the same stuff over there. I mean, you have Big Ben, you have Deontay, Claypool, Juju. These guys are actually way more affordable on FanDuel than on DraftKings. I mean, you got Juju 11, Claypool 11.5. Deontay's the one guy. He's up there. He's 13.5, so he's much higher priced than the other wide receivers. They have Big Ben at 16K. I'm assuming if you like him on DK, you like him just as much over on FanDuel as well.
Yeah, FanDuel's going to be tough. And we just talked about leaving salary. It's going to be even more important on FanDuel because these teams are going to be all the same if you don't. You only got 5 spots instead of 6. It's just everyone is going to come in here and play Ben with 2 of these guys. And if you do that, there's only 2 other spots, and you're going to only be able to play 1 Baltimore guy. So you are not going to be unique by doing that, which in tournaments, I think you fade Ben, as crazy as it sounds, just because if you play Ben, just say you play Ben, you need to play 2 pass catchers with him. Everyone knows that. So all of a sudden, everyone starts with the same 3 dudes, and then 1 Baltimore guy is going to be the same 2 more than likely. You're literally only 1 guy different. It's going to be impossible to be even remotely unique. So all of a sudden we play Deontay or Claypool or Juju, any of those 3 in there, or even like Ebron, and maybe he scores 2 touchdowns and he ends up in the winner. But I think I'm going to go with the pass catcher in the top spot. I'm still going to play Ben, but in the utility instead of the MVP spot.
Does that mean that you're more prone to playing a guy like Snell over here if you're going to fade Ben?
I'm not gonna play Snell, I don't think, anywhere. I mean, 11K is still like, say I play Ben with 2 pass catchers, Deontay and Juju. Like I only got 97.50 left. I'm not playing Snell today. If he falls into the end zone twice and beats me, like I'm fine with it. I'll go with it. Cash, are you gonna play him in cash?
No, I believe so. I mean, I think you play him. Especially on
like you're playing him over like Claypool and Juju.
I probably would. Probably if I'm deciding between Snell and Deontay, I mean, I definitely want Deontay, but I think those other 2 guys, I'd probably play him over. I mean, it just, to me, has a better chance of scoring a touchdown. I mean, the problem though on FanDuel, if you eliminate Big Ben, it's like who else are you playing? Like Marquise
I want to
Brown.
play Big Ben in the utility, not the MVP.
Oh, okay. All right. You're saying just MVP.
Yeah, no, I want to play him in the utility. I'm not going to fade him.
Gotcha. And the problem is you got Marquise Brown at like 10K. Like he had decent price tag on DK. We still weren't thrilled with that. 10K on FanDuel. I can't imagine going that route.
Like Gus Edwards is 12.5. Like there's no way you're paying that. Like you're crazy if you pay that.
So the one thing I will say, I think this is a slate where if you're playing on FanDuel, you definitely, don't push yourself to play 150. I just don't think it's necessary unless you have a different, game script in mind. You think this goes a different way, then yeah, sure. But if you're kind of, piggybacking what we're thinking, I don't think you need a ton of lineups. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I mean, I don't think it's the worst, but there isn't that many combos. I mean, once you start thinning it out, I mean, some of the Baltimore guys we liked on DK, I don't like as much on FanDuel. Like Des Bryant, we talked about the 8 catches, 30 yards. That doesn't play good on FanDuel. I mean, you're only getting 7 points instead of 11 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And same thing with Luke Wilson. Like, I don't like these guys as much. I'll tell you who I do like though: the big play guys, Duvernay, Prochet. I talked about Prochet. He's only 5K. He's a big play guy. He sneaks in there in Boykin. And I mean, Justice Hill is 9K. I am not paying so it goes back to your original point. Now, as I circle all the way back, yes, you don't need as many teams because if I take these dudes out I don't like, all of a sudden Dez is gone, Justice is gone, Luke Wilson's gone. I'm literally left with the 3 big play receivers and the kicker. And the kicker is even more in play on FanDuel because if he gets 10 points on FanDuel, 250 yarders, he is almost a lock to be in the winner at these prices.
And Boswell, like it seems the floor price for kickers on FanDuel is 8.5K, and that's where he's at. I mean, right at 8.5K, and I mean, I'm not a guy that sits and looks at game logs and has that as, a point to determine whether or not I'm going to play someone. But when it comes to kickers, I kind of do. I want to see if teams are kicking field goals. If they're not, and the Steelers are willing to kick field goals, he's very accurate. He's been a solid kicker. I really like him at 8.5K. I mean, look at the game log. I mean, he's had at least 8, and we're not saying 8's a great number, but on this slate, 8 could be a really good number. He's had at least 8 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 8 games. 7 out of 8 games. He's had at least 8. Last 2, 11, 14. Like, he scores fantasy points. 8.5K. I actually like him a lot on FanDuel.
I always like the kickers, so it's always an easy sale for me. I still probably wouldn't play Tucker with him. I would set that rule. I can even do it right now while I'm thinking about it. But definitely, I think you can play both of them. I mean, they're both good plays.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat says, when you send the gear, you make us pick up the shipping? No, of course we don't make you pick up the shipping. We send it to you. It's all free.
Pick up the shipping? I mean, that's a brutal question. Who asked that?
Joe Con 1, 2, 3.
Joe.
I mean,
come on, man. Come on. Even if we did make you pick up the shipping, you realize it's like $5 for a t-shirt to get shipped? Come on. That's a brutal take. Yeah. And of course we pick up the damn shipping. 2 other names I want to bring up here. Where's our guy? McFarland, 7.5K. And we have Smallwood. Smallwood is 5K flat. Talk about those guys.
Yeah, I still like McFarland the most for sure at 7,500, where I just don't see a reason not to play him at that price. And I don't think I'm going to play Smallwood at 5K. I just don't think you need it. I mean, we have so many guys. Like, I'd much rather play Ray McLeod at 6K just because we've seen him. Like, we've seen him in there. I don't think Smallwood's going to get that much run, but he is 5K. So if he gets some – if you need him, I just don't think I need him. Like, there's enough cheap guys to where I don't think I need it.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, he at 5K still likely has to do something, and the odds of him doing something that's enough to be in the winner probably pretty low. I mean, he's got 2 guys ahead of him. If this game turns into a massive blowout, I mean, he could get the fourth quarter run, which is kind of what you're hoping for. But we'll see. I mean, maybe he doesn't. Maybe it's McFarland who still gets that fourth quarter run. A lot of uncertainty. I mean, I would probably still keep him in my player pool. Just for, I mean, let's just see, what, if you plug them in, you got, 13. I mean, you can get whatever you want, basically. I mean, you can get Big Ben, 2 pass catchers. It opens up everything. So I don't know. I'll still have him in my player pool at 5K flat. I mean, who was the other 5K guy you said? Was there another one or no?
Who did I? Let me see. I'll pull it back up.
I mean, I know that Tomlinson dude's Prochet. You said Prochet.
Yeah,
Prochet's
like I would much rather play Prochet than Smallwood.
Okay.
I just think like they have to want to get him. This is a perfect game for them to play Prochet a little bit. They think they're going to lose anyways. I'm assuming. If not, they're going to know they're losing quickly.
If not, they're going to be in for a big surprise when the game starts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd rather play Prochet, but I mean, both are fine. I mean, if you need it, honestly, both of them probably won't even score, and they'll both get like 1 point. So probably doesn't matter. But if you're playing 20 or 150 teams, they should definitely be in the mix. Like, let's just see if I give Prochet, let's just say let's give them both just 3.2. Let's see how many teams they hit.
One side note, as you're doing that, they released the Ravens released their moves before the game. They brought up another running back, Tyson Williams, and the other notables would be Eric Tomlinson and Luke Wilson were both called up. So Tomlinson was the $200 play on DK that we talked about, and then Luke Wilson I think would probably be their top tight end today.
I like it. I mean, it's kind of what we were thinking. They should. I like them a lot more on DK for sure than FanDuel. FanDuel just not getting the PPR. Like, I really struggle to see anyone getting 10 points on FanDuel. I do.
There's more outs. There's more outs with the cheap guys on DK because they can go out there and catch 4 or 5 balls and get 30 yards, and the minimum guys, that's enough. On FanDuel, that's like not enough. On FanDuel, you're getting 5 points. On DK, you're getting like 8 or 9 points. That's a huge difference.
Massive difference. And it makes Tucker that much more acceptable on FanDuel, honestly, because if he goes out there and gets that 50-yarder early in the game, like he is mint on this team because it's going to be hard to get that many points.
Yeah.
So I ran these teams. I pulled Big Ben. I only put Deontay, Juju, and Claypool in the MVP because I think those are going to be my 3 MVPs on FanDuel. But then Flex, let's see if these 5K guys. I gave them both 3 points. So Crochet hits 19%.
As you're scrolling through those, I just want to give everyone the update on our Monkey Knife Fight promo that we have. You $50 deposit, use code RUNPEER, you get $50 free. We have a channel in our Discord chat to go along with Monkey Knife Fight as well to talk about the plays. They shift the plays pretty quickly, so you got to get on things right away. And the other promo that we are running is it's promo code Buckets 15. It gets you 15% off any package on our website for lifetime, as long as you stay on, as long as you don't cancel. If you get it and then you cancel, it goes away. If you get it and you stick with us, if you get a monthly package, you'll have that 15% discount every single billing cycle. So that's Buckets 15 at checkout to get onto the site. And it's full access. If you do a monthly plan, full access to everything on the site, including Showdown. If you do a weekly plan, full access to everything on the site, including our Showdown content. So get on over to Run Pure Sports and check it out. Go ahead and talk about these teams here.
Yeah, couldn't get it to run again, but basically I gave Crochet and Smallwood only 3 points, 3.25, and they hit on Crochet hit on 20% of builds, only at 3.25. So that's basically telling you that even if he gets 0, he's got a chance to be on the winner in 20% of the builds I have. Like I've removed a lot of people.
You bumped Deontay quite a bit, right?
I can't remember if I did on.
I'm guessing.
I don't think I did on FanDuel. I think that was just DK. Let me see. I didn't bump Deontay.
Okay. Wow, that's still with those guys just at a lot. That's interesting.
Yeah, even with that, I do want to bump him though, because he's for sure my favorite play, without a doubt. Let's see.
I like him even more on FanDuel, where there's a bigger discrepancy between him and Juju and Claypool. I mean, there's $2,000 difference. People are just going to save the 2,000 and go down to those other guys. I love playing Deontay at 13.5.
He's just I think he's clearly the best play. And because on FanDuel, it doesn't matter if we kind of talk about the full teams even more. This first team here is like a perfect example of what I want to be, and it might even be my main team today. Deontay with Ben and Claypool, McFarland, and then Tucker is our only Baltimore guy. Like I said, if Tucker can somehow get to 10 points, I don't see how a team like this is not the winner, and I'm just going to take my chances.
It's got to happen early. I mean, that's the thing we talked about. He's got to get probably a first half long field goal.
You definitely want it in the first half for sure. Like the later it gets, the less likely. Although if it's like a total blowout, we may get another one coming back because they're just like, we're not winning anyways. Let's just kick the field goal.
Our boy that we gave gear to, Van Ripper, is there an active Ravens tight end? Yeah, it's Tomlinson and Luke Wilson. They both got called up. I mean, both active in this game. I mean, you're not banking on big games from these guys, but they're going to be out there. I mean, they'll definitely be out there in a game where have to imagine, if they're passing it, they got to get rid of it quick because the Steelers defensive line will probably be in the backfield quite a bit today.
Yeah.
Anything else popping up on FanDuel standing out?
I mean, I think we're on the same page, and I feel good about it. Hopefully Deontay. I know Deontay is going to be popular. The people that have just started watching our shows, like when we're talking about it, doesn't mean that a 50% owned guy can't be our key guy, though. If we go way above the field and he crushes, we're well on our way. Like if you play Deontay and the captain on he'll only be 15% tops. So all of a sudden, if we're at 50%, you are just going to crush when he crushes. So I like it. The chat keeps asking about McSorley too. I don't think you can play him just because his price. I mean, how much is he on FanDuel?
$5K.
He is $5K?
Yeah.
So he's definitely in play on FanDuel because that's the man. And if it goes really bad for RG3, he will definitely come in and play. So I don't know. What do you think? Like at 5K, that changes things a little bit because what did we just talk about? We talked about if our cheap guys get 0, we're still okay. Say no one does anything for Baltimore. Say it's a total landslide, 30-0 in the first half. They could easily bring McSorley. I'm talking myself into it now. So the chat, all of a sudden, the second half, they're not going to just keep running RG3. Oh, let's get McSorley a little run and see what he can do. And he's 5K. On DK, he's 6K. It's not – you can't play him on there as easily.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's debatable.
A tournament play. You're gambling on it.
I mean, he's going to have no ownership, so I don't think you need to go any crazy amount.
Play him on 2 of your 20.
Yeah, just a small percentage if you're going to do it.
Definitely you can still cash with him at 0. I promise you. If you play Deontay and Ben and Claypool and these dudes do their thing, you're still going to cash if he gets 0. So
yeah.
Somebody in the chat said screen is blurry. No, I'm literally looking at the screen too. It's not blurry on my screen. Yeah. I'm looking at it on the YouTube screen even.
Yeah, so, we're good on there from what I can see.
I mean, I kind of like the mix. I'm going to be honest, I kind of like it on FanDuel at 5K just because if it goes really bad, I don't see why they wouldn't play him a little bit. And he even plays good with a guy like Duvernay. So you could have both of those. Do you know how good you're going to feel if the score is 30-0 and all your Pittsburgh guys already crushed and you see this dude come in? You're going to be feeling very, very happy about going to the top of the leaderboard. Yeah. I kind of like it the more I think about it. Just on FanDuel.
Like I said, just on FanDuel and don't go 50% McSorley. I mean, small, to me, definitely single digit percentage on them. That's it. And like you said, though, like even if he doesn't play, like teams have won tournaments with 0s. Like it's possible. So, you're not drawing completely dead if he doesn't get in there. But I like where we're at. I mean, it's it's not a crazy take, our opinion on the slate, but the few little tweaks that we talked about throughout the show is how you make yourself a little bit different. Make the fades. You got to fade, guys. I mean, you definitely. I mean, Snell's going to be a big fade for you. He'll be pretty popular on probably both sites. It's the approach we've kind of been taking lately with these. Somewhat he'll catch passes, but in this game he might be more one-dimensional with how active the wide receivers are. We'll see. But anything else to add to it before we get on out?
I mean, just the chat telling me to upgrade my thing. I mean, I can read it on YouTube. It has nothing. I can see the same thing anyone can see. It does not look blurry on mine, but I don't know. Maybe they don't have Mac. I mean, if you got Windows, that's what you get with Windows.
Yeah, and the one thing I was going to say, I saw a chat about Tucker in the MVP spot on FanDuel. Don't do that to yourself. Definitely don't play.
Yeah, it's not an MVP spot for him. I mean, if you're going to play a kicker, definitely play Pittsburgh kicker over Baltimore kicker.
Yeah, I like Boswell quite a bit. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for the bonus showdown Run Pier show here on Wednesday afternoon. Game's kicking off in about an hour. Looking forward to it. Head on over to Run Pier Sports. Buckets 15% off for life. I think that's about it. We're going to get on out of here. We'll have all our regular scheduled NFL content for the main slate. No Thursday night football, right? That got pushed back, correct?
Yep, no Thursday, I believe. I think we're done until Sunday night for the showdown.
Yeah, so we'll have all our normal NFL content. We got the college basketball content. I mean, I'm not a college basketball guy, but I think there's slates basically every day, right?
Yeah, I mean, especially right now, some good slates too. So it's fun. Hop over and check it out for sure.
Yeah, we're covering it all too. I mean, I don't think there's many sites out there that full coverage of college basketball, but we got a team working on it, doing a hell of a job over there. So yeah, head on over to Run Pure Sports, check it all out. Buckets 15 for Big T. I'm Hoop. Good luck to everyone in your contest today. We'll be back this weekend.